Lacey Everett here with the Minds in Motion dance series. Today's guest is Sujan Peng, who is a former NFL cheerleader, a former NBA cheerleader. She is a phenomenal dancer and speaker. She has her master's where she received her BCBA, and now she is a behavior analyst. She's going to give us makeup tips and tricks for a natural look, makeup for dance performance, stage makeup for dancers, and just overall the best makeup tips. She's also going to talk about self-esteem and how important it is to have a high self-esteem and tips to grow our sense of self. We are also going to talk about setting boundaries and how important that is. Setting boundaries with yourself, how to set boundaries with friends, how to set boundaries with family, how to set boundaries in the workplace so we aren't spreading ourselves too thin. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. You just click a button. You can pause this video right now and do it. Easy. And I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts and what you think, what you learned. And if this video has impacted you, send it to others because it most likely will impact them as well. All right, let's go meet Sujan. Hi, Sujan.
Hi, Lacey.
Hi. I am so happy to see
you.
You too. You look beautiful.
Forever.
I know. Your makeup and your hair, Sujan, are always spot on.
Oh my God.
All the tips and tricks. You've been a professional dancer for years. So what are your makeup tips? We'll start with that and then we'll get into the psych stuff. Makeup for dance performance, makeup tips and tricks for a natural look, all of that for games.
When you're trying to either audition for a team or book a dance gig, you have to know what you're auditioning for. You're never going to have the same look for every audition. And that's across the board between, an industry audition or even different NBA teams or different NFL teams. Every team and every gig is going to be different. So you have to do your research and know what you're auditioning for. If you're going to a dance audition, you're going to do your makeup much differently than if you were in an interview portion of a dance round, right?
Right.
So I think if you go into a dance audition, that probably means you're in a really big room. You're probably going to be a little further away from judges because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of girls there. You're going to want to put on the makeup that looks a little extra up close because to you, it might look a lot, but trust me, if you don't have that on from far away, you're going to get drowned out and they're not going to see the definition of your face. So depending, from my experience on NBA and NFL teams, the go-to audition game day look is a bold red lip, right? You probably, for that, in a face-to-face interview, because that might be too much, but at an audition, you're far away. They're going to want to see that. You're going to want to, do a nice matte foundation, some blush, some bronzer. You want to open up your eyes with some definition and eyeshadow. You want to define your eyebrows because all of these focal points, they're going to get drowned out from far away. So whether that's an audition or you're in a stadium, you're going to feel crazy while you're looking at yourself in a mirror. But from far away, I promise you, it's going to look exactly how it's supposed to look. And then if you're in an interview round, because there's a lot of dance jobs that have interview rounds, which people might not realize that, you're not going to show up with the same look because it's going to be a little intense. And so right now I'm doing an interview and maybe on Zoom, it's harder with Zoom. You might want to do it a little bit heavier because camera quality, lighting and things like that. But I look pretty natural, I feel like, but you can tell I'm wearing some makeup, but it's still the same, foundation, blush, bronzer, lips, eyeshadow, but they're just a little bit more neutral and muted colors. So I'm not going to show up with a bold red lip at 9 a.m, right?
I see. Yes, exactly. That makes sense too, because the further you are away from the judges or the audience when you're dancing on stage, the people in the nosebleed seats need to see your face, or the people back in the auditorium need to see your face. Yeah. Do you wear eyeliner? What about eyeliner? Do you do that?
So I think you have to know what works for you. And this is why, makeup tips and tricks are so hard. If you you can dive into hours and hours of watching YouTube videos and tutorials, but if you're watching it by someone who doesn't have your eye shape, who doesn't have your face shape, who doesn't have your skin complexion, none of that is really useful if it doesn't apply to you. And so a lot of these things I'm saying are probably very broad tips, but for me, an eyeliner for someone else, they probably want, a darker black eyeliner. For someone like me, a black eyeliner is going to really close my eyes out. So I always use brown. And so all of these tips and tricks are very individualized, but you want to think of it. I think the most, broad thing I can say is dance auditions, game days, anything within a performance. You want that performance day makeup, but know your audience. If you're doing a 9 a.m. interview or a promo with little kids, you're going to want to do more neutral tones, still wearing the makeup, because let's be real, a natural look is not very natural. We're all wearing makeup still.
Yes. See, that's a good point, because you look very natural right now.
And someone might think, oh, I'm going to do this natural look and show up with nothing. It's like a natural look actually does take a little bit of effort still.
Yes, that's really good advice. Really good advice, Sujan.
So natural does not mean bare.
Yes.
Think about the colors you choose, right? So if I'm doing like a performance, I'm going to do a really darker brown smoky eye. But if I'm doing an interview, like I still have brown eyeshadow, brown eyeliner, but it's just with a lighter hand.
To compliment yourself instead of the person you're watching on the video.
Yeah, I mean, find someone who has your facial features, find someone who has your skin complexion. And I think, these basic tips and tricks for makeup, they're going to be very individualized for you. And so if I'm learning an eyeshadow tutorial from someone who does not have the same eye shape as me, it's not going to look the same.
Thank you for that. And speaking of looks and putting on makeup, what about self-esteem? What are your tips on that?
Growing up with social media at our fingertips and everything's a comparison game. And so, especially dancers, right? We're so hard on ourselves, whether it's our look, our talent, we just pick ourselves apart. So I think being able to know who you are and being confident in yourself and what your strengths are and remembering those. And I think it's so interesting because, I mean, we've experienced this together of you book a gig or you make a team, and what our self-esteem still suffers when we've already made that accomplishment. And like, why do we do that to ourselves when we've already made it to that step? And we have to remind ourselves, instead of saying like, okay, how can I be good enough? It's like, I'm already good enough. I'm here. And I just have to maintain like what I did to get here and continue to grow. So I think that's the main thing of like, if you're in an environment as competitive as dance, you have to be confident in yourself and your abilities, and also be okay if you don't live up to the standard, right? I think we also get very hard on ourselves if we don't accomplish a certain thing, but that just means, okay, we didn't get this one this time, but we just have room to grow. And so, I mean, for me, I've auditioned for so many things and have gotten rejected. And looking back at it, I'm like, why did I keep auditioning? It's because I didn't look at it as a negative thing. I was like, okay, what did I do this time that might have hindered my chances, and how can I get better at it?
Yes, that's great. What can I do this time to grow from this past experience of rejection to get the job? That's a great mindset.
Focused and sulking on what did I do wrong? Like, how are you going to pick yourself up from there? It's more about analyzing what did I do wrong and how can I make it better?
Society is very go, 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 on to the next, accomplish, accomplish, accomplish. And I think people are so focused on the things they haven't done versus the things they have done. Like, wait a second.
Holds you back way more than anything else, right?
Yes.
You're so fixated on what you don't have, what you weren't able to do, and you're wasting all that time and shifting that mindset of how do I make it better and how do I move forward? And it sounds very cliche, but just that shift in your mindset, it changes your pathway.
Yes. Changing the philosophy.
Dancers, I think it's our internal dialogue. There might be one person not even flat out saying anything was wrong, but just not booking a gig or getting the audition. That might have been that one thing. And then all the other dialogue, that's all coming from ourselves.
Yes. Our thoughts can make or break us. Spooky things. And so it's interesting to notice that. Like you say, if the internal dialogue is going on and it's doing that downward spiral, just maybe noticing that and going, okay,
I'm not myself right here.
Yes. Maybe thinking of yourself as like the observer onto your thoughts. Like, oh, I'm thinking this way right now. Let's stop, abort mission on that.
We're the only ones that can do that, because if we're having this internal battle, there's no one else stopping us, right? It's ourselves. Like, we have to catch that ourselves. And absolutely. I think, this just ties into overall, mental health and like seeking a therapist. If you go to therapy and your therapist is guiding you through whatever you're going through, eventually, like, you need to become your own therapist. You can't rely on your therapist every week catching these things for you. After a while, you pick up these skills and catch it yourself, and you can become your own therapist.
That's what we're learning in school right now. Is our goal when we're therapists is to get our clients to become their own therapists and solve these solutions on their own.
Yeah. Once you become more self-aware and you're able to catch it, then, and you having that tool before going into such a stressful environment, that's gonna change the whole, pathway for you.
It starts with noticing it, would you say, right? Noticing.
Self-aware, yeah.
Yes, self-aware. Also, boundaries. Can we talk about how to set boundaries in the workplace, to set boundaries with friends, how to set boundaries with family?
I think setting boundaries is so important, because I feel like a lot of us grew up with this mindset of, I need to be a selfless person and put others before us, which is absolutely a great quality to have, right? But there's a difference, and there's a very thin line of putting others first, right? But by doing that, putting yourself last. You want to be able to put others first but also honoring yourself, because if you are spreading yourself so thin and putting everyone, you can't even be the best support for someone when you're not, thinking about your own self and your own mental health. And I think a lot of people who have this quality of being very selfless and, they're the friend that would do everything at a drop of a dime, or they're the ones who always say yes. And something inside of us wants to be that people pleaser or wants to be that person, which is a great quality to have. But when
in moderation,
when it compromises yourself, that's the self-awareness of like, how is this affecting me? And how is this also making me not be the best support system I can for someone else because I'm so burnt out?
Yes. And it goes with even performance too, with dance. It's like, we're not going to perform at our optimal level if we're not feeling okay.
Exactly. And then you're in a situation where you're thinking of 100 million different things other than dancing and performing.
Yes.
And I feel like that was a very big theme with, being on certain teams and like learning routines, having different formations, being in different spots, and then also trying to focus on all the other stressors that we have, but being that person, like, it's fine, I can handle it. I can do this for you. I will do this. I will help you. And then you might be, spreading yourself thin, that you're not giving 100% of yourself. You're giving like 10% to all of these other aspects. So you are not performing at your, best ability.
And there's statistics and there's research that shows that if you spread yourself thin like that, like if you have 1,000,000,001 hobbies, you're going to be mediocre at all of them. But if you have like one hobby you can soar to the sky with it because you're focused on just that thing.
Yeah.
But it's a good point, Sujan, that you made about taking care of ourselves first. And then it reminds me for some reason of being in an airplane when you put your oxygen mask on first and then
you can't help someone if you can't breathe either, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, that's not a selfish act. That's, I need to be okay to make sure you're okay.
Yes, exactly. This needs to be on a shirt. I'm going to write it on my wall. Yes, it can be detrimental. And I think over time, individuals don't really notice. It's happened to me. Individuals don't really notice that they're doing that until they get sick.
We're just so used to it, and we just want to be that person, right? And also, I think what I'm learning too about, overstepping my boundaries or not setting up enough boundaries is like that fear of like disappointing someone else, right? Or someone being upset with me, or, you're always there and say no, then they're going to be mad, or, we make these things up in our head, right? But it's like, you have to take a step back and think, you become that person for other people if you continuously say yes and do everything and disrespect your own boundaries. One of my favorite quotes that I've just been like reeling in my head every time I have to set a boundary is that the only people that will be mad at you for setting a boundary are those who benefit from you not having any boundaries. So if they are getting upset or feel a certain way that you have a boundary, that's your kind of red flag of they don't respect my boundary at all, right?
I love that. Yes. And it's true, because I feel like if you're just honest with people and you say, hey, I'm human right now, I need a rest.
Yeah.
I've been working.
People who love you and care about you will say, okay,
yes,
it's totally fine. There's going to be no animosity and there's not going to be any blaming. And if there is, that sounds more of a other problem than your problem, right?
Exactly. Yes, you can't take that personally. Yeah. And if anything, they'd probably respect you more, and it'd probably encourage them to do the same.
There's a big difference, like I said, from being that person who says yes and is super helpful, but to what extent, right? It's like you can be the person that is helpful and there for everyone, but you can do that without compromising yourself. And that's what people need to be self-aware of.
Yeah, self-aware, doing it in moderation, and being there for people, of course. Yeah. And then also going, hey, I need to meditate right now, or I need some self-care, or
I really can't do this for you. And if I did, I'd be moving around 5 billion different things in my schedule, and I just can't, right? And I feel like that's a hard thing to admit to when someone's like, I don't have time for this, or I don't want to do this. Everyone wants to feel like they can do everything. And I think that also ties into this social media at our fingertips culture of like hustle culture, and everyone's accomplishing everything. So I need to keep up too.
Yes, when really we're all enough. just us getting up in the morning, taking showers, eating food. That takes work. That's a lot in itself.
It's like noon, I'm tired.
I mean, we're human and we're all different. We all beat to our own drum. This was so helpful, Sujan.
I'm really glad that we could have this chat, just because a lot of these topics have been so relevant in my life. And I feel like at this time, I'm sure so many people are going through this or dealing with this or have these realizations and don't know how to, navigate some of these feelings and maybe need that validation. Like, it's okay.
Yes, it's okay. We're normalizing it for people right now. Like it happens to us. It happens to everyone.
Yeah. And I think that's, this past year, it's been a year of reflection, a year of sitting with our thoughts, a year of prioritizing what's important and what's not, So I think a lot of people are kind of in that mindset of, what can I do to improve my mental health so I can be the best version of me for myself and for everyone around me?
Absolutely. Well, this was really, really helpful. So beneficial.
Great, I'm so proud of you and everything you're doing. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you Sujan, I'm so proud of you.
Okay.
You're conquering life right now for sure, especially with these psych tips that you are knowledgeable about. This is amazing.
God, I could help.
Yes, absolutely. I know so many people who will benefit from this. So thank you so much, Sujan.
Thanks for having me, Lacey. It was good to see you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.